Nature has her killers. Mountains of fire and mountains of ice, towering walls of water, whirlpools of wind. They cannot be stopped. But they must be studied, mapped, and monitored.
Playing the silver chime.
For if we don't, we could all be at risk. And so we watch, we listen, and we struggle to predict when and where nature's greatest nightmares will strike next. Perfect summer day on the Carolina coastline, with Labor Day weekend just around the corner. But the end of summer isn't the only thing looming on the horizon. 500 miles from shore, a killer is on the prowl, a monster storm named Fran. Pope Air Force Base outside Fayetteville, North Carolina, an elite strike team prepares to go to battle.
The last crew got cleared for wreck.
Their adversary, the deadliest weather on Earth, a hurricane.
What time we need to take off?
Thousands of lives and hundreds of millions of dollars depend on their mission. When, where, and how hard will Fran strike?
But to my mind, I'd rather be in the air than on the ground.
To answer those life or death questions, these men, the hurricane hunters, must fly straight into the eye of a giant. Their mission is as risky as they come. Plunge a 30-year-old warplane head-on into winds that can top 200 miles an hour to measure with scientific precision a full-scale Atlantic hurricane.
September 1938. The eastern seaboard is lashed by a tropical hurricane. For 2 days, the coast from New Jersey to New England felt its full fury. New York was...
They strike with terrifying frequency, but in a random pattern no man or machine can ever predict. Each storm has a brutal personality all its own. We even give them names: Hugo, Camille, Andrew, Fran. 1 billion people live in their path, in a belt that circles the globe from Asia to Africa to the Americas. The storms Americans know as hurricanes go by other names elsewhere. Tempests of the Indian Ocean are called cyclones. Time and again, they've ravaged India, Bangladesh, and their neighbors. One such cyclone in 1970 left over 150,000 dead. In the Western Pacific, they're typhoons. When Typhoon Angela bore down on the Philippines in 1995, over 1 million people abandoned their homes and fled for their lives. Cyclone, typhoon, or hurricane. By any name, tropical storms are natural-born killers, all spawned by the same unassuming conditions. An Atlantic hurricane begins as a tropical depression off the coast of Africa. As trade winds carry the infant storm west across the ocean, it's fueled by warm seas. By the end of the journey, it's swollen into a raging whirlwind 300 miles across. Hurricanes are rated on a scale of 1 to 5. Packing winds of over 150 miles an hour, a Category 4 or 5 storm can hit land with the force of an atom bomb. Hurricane Andrew did just that. When it slammed into the Florida coast in August of 1992, Andrew exacted a terrible toll. In the end, the storm left behind 61 dead and some $30 billion in devastation. To survive a direct hit from a full-scale hurricane, a building must be built like a fortress. This concrete bunker is the brand new command post for America's battle against tropical storms. Its predecessor was wrecked by none other than Hurricane Andrew. Welcome to the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. With hurricane season at a peak, the Storm Center is on red alert. Forecasters work at a fever pitch to track 3 storms at once. The real danger looks like storm number 2, Hurricane Fran. The job of the Hurricane Center is to peer into the future, to turn mountains of meteorological data into a life-saving weather forecast.
Each one has its own predictability. Some are more predictable than others, and that we can tell better which way it's going than whether it's going to intensify dramatically or not. The worst case scenario is a storm that is rapidly intensifying as it moves toward land.
34 knots, 150, 120.
It's a hair-trigger business. Make the call too soon, and a last-minute change in course could have disastrous consequences. Too late, and those in Fran's path will have no time to escape. The scientists rely on satellite imagery to track the storms across the Atlantic, but the most critical data comes from another source.
Satellites provide us with a lot of information when a hurricane is relatively far from land, but we get much more detailed information about the structure of a storm from the hurricane hunting airplane.
Winds are building now, they're about 95, 85.
200 miles from land, the hunters close in on Fran. What the forecasters in Florida study from afar, the hurricane hunters will confront eye to eye.
It's like going up on the roller coaster on the big hill and you're getting ready to go down. The roller coaster goes very slowly and all of a sudden you know it's coming, and a lot of times the plane will drop sometimes as much as 2,000 feet, and you get quite a ride.
It's the roughest quadrant usually.
The ride only gets rougher. Fighting winds of over 100 miles an hour, the aging plane takes a beating.
That was a little hello from Fran. You didn't happen to notice how many feet we lost on that one, did you, Chris? We popped right up to smartly 400 feet.
Okay, what's coming now is the last vortex message, or the last fix from an aircraft that's out there flying in Fran. It's been out there all night.
Back in Florida, forecasters track the hunters and the hurricane across the
And I
Atlantic.
see that the storm is maintaining its strength right now. I'm going to take it right out and give it to the forecaster.
As the storm bears down on the coast, media pressure builds for the center to name Fran's target.
If it makes a direct hit, the damage could be substantial, but right
exactly
now,
where Fran will strike is impossible to predict until the team in the air have probed the eye of the storm.
Course still looks pretty good on ours. Okay.
The hurricane hunter's goal looms just ahead, the very heart of the whirlwind.
Now we're coming into an area that's kind of in between the rings of the storm. 5 miles.
Detailed data from the eye is the key to the forecast.
Seen any lightning, Chris?
Satellites and radar can't make the call. Only on-the-spot readings will do.
been single digits on winds all the way down.
Wind speed and air pressure will be measured by using a drop wind sonde, a package of instruments ejected from the plane as they pass through the eye. Computerized images show what the camera cannot. The plane plunging into the worst winds of the eye wall.
Just about to punch into the eye wall. Heading out northeast.
The pressure drops. The winds subside. The hunters have penetrated the eye.
Definitely inside now. It's got a pretty good stadium effect. You can see. Feels nice inside. Yeah. I like it. Pretty picture.
The calm air of the eye is ringed by banks of wind-driven clouds and rain, a spectacular vista known as the stadium effect.
I'm going to go ahead and load up now. You ready, drop? Pilot weather, come right, 15.
The first of 4 drop zones is sent on its one-way journey to the sea.
Flight 180.
Satellites will track its fall and relay the data to the Hurricane Center.
Almost there. 15 to 185. What does this drop, your 126th one? I think so.
Locking down the details calls for 3 more passes through the eye wall's punishing winds.
Again, we're in a diurnal rise for pressure.
After delivering the goods, the men in the plane get a thumbs up from the storm watchers back in Florida.
Crew weather messages came in from National Hurricane Center. Hurricane Fran discussion number 48, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hurricane hunters are providing valuable information, and this morning they have had a particularly rough ride. We should all be grateful to them. Ed Rappaport, forecaster, NHC. Please extend to the rest of the crew. It's nice to know you're appreciated, you know that.
The hurricane hunters have helped pin down Fran's target. Little comfort to those who find themselves in harm's way. Ground Zero, Wilmington, North Carolina. For the second time in less than 3 months, this strip of the Atlantic coast prepares for the worst. At least they have experience on their side. Sometimes the monsters of the Atlantic choose more unexpected targets. In January of 1990, a late-season hurricane stormed into southern England. 110-mile-an-hour winds left 39 people dead. With little experience predicting or preparing for such storms, the British were completely at the mercy of the gale. But even in the U.S., all the warning in the world can't stop the havoc. Fran hits home packing winds of nearly 120 miles an hour.
Isolated tornadoes are possible over the course of the North.
We couldn't see what had really happened at all. And then the eye came over about 10:30 and we all walked out and saw everything. And that's when it was the first time I've ever been afraid of a storm like this.
The wind never stopped. I mean, you could hear the leaves in the trees, and you just prayed that you weren't going to be killed by a tree falling in your house. people's homes are just totally gone, destroyed.
We could see the trees just, going everywhere. And it sounded like you could hear it. I mean, it sounded like a freight train, just roaring, and it kept roaring and roaring and roaring.
Causing $5 billion in damage, Fran was the third most costly hurricane in U.S. history. Many scientists believe that global warming and long-term weather cycles mean that more storms of far greater force are on their way. The next tempest to batter these coasts could be a real monster. Only time and the hurricane hunters will tell. Where tropical storms give way to Arctic currents, other terrors haunt the seas. Ice, one of nature's most basic substances. Ordinary water, made solid by the cold. Beautiful, abundant, and deadly. Adrift in busy shipping lanes, every iceberg is a potential killer. The only way to fight disaster is to plunge into the most threatening waters and track the danger. With thousands of icebergs on the loose and thousands of ships at risk, the job calls for an international effort, a coordinated attack by sea and by air, on a battlefield spread across 500,000 square miles of frigid water. The crushing force of pack ice has bedeviled ships in Arctic waters for centuries. Further south, what sailors fear is not the vice-like grip of the pack, but the deadly lone wolves of the sea, icebergs. These million-ton monsters can tower 20 stories above the water. But the real danger lurks below. Nearly 90% of an iceberg's bulk lies hidden beneath the waves. Super compressed ice, harder than steel. More treacherous still are the growlers. Almost invisible to radar, these baby bergs can batter a ship with crippling force. The west coast of Greenland is the birthplace of the North Atlantic bergs. Each year, huge blocks of ice shear off or calve from the glaciers that blanket Greenland. Caught in the grip of the Labrador Current, as many as 1,500 icebergs drift smack into Atlantic shipping lanes every spring. On this superhighway of the seas, an uncontrolled intersection is a disaster waiting to happen. Proof of the berg's deadly passage is marked by the graves of their victims. And no casualty of the ice is remembered with greater sorrow than the liner that was known as Titanic. As she steamed south of Newfoundland on April 14, 1912, the Titanic was believed to be unsinkable. Late that night, the ship's passengers, captain, and crew discovered just how false their faith had been. More than 1,500 men, women, and children went down with the Titanic. The news shocked the world and continues to capture imaginations today. In Halifax, Nova Scotia, a trio of graveyards hold the remains of some of the victims. Others are buried at sea, over 2 miles deep. In the aftermath, an answer to the frozen threat was born.
the United States Coast Guard is back at the important peacetime job of hunting icebergs in northern waters.
In 1914, in direct response to the Titanic, the International Ice Patrol took to the waves. Ever since, the U.S. Coast Guard has led the effort, prowling the North Atlantic for killer bergs. After World War II, the Ice Patrol began searching by air as well as by sea. Their mission, to save lives and property. Their method, plot the ever-shifting boundary between safe and dangerous waters, then spread the word to all who sail these seas. In their Hercules C-130 turboprop, the patrol can cover nearly 2,000 miles in a day. Radar extends the crew's vision 27 miles to each side. Satellite tracking nails down iceberg positions within inches. But for all the high-tech tools at their disposal, the Ice Patrol still depends on old-fashioned human observation.
Hey Rusty, we need your eyes here. I've got a cloud bank in front of me right now.
The men who scour the ocean for bergs are called ice picks. Trained observers, they keep careful notes of every iceberg's size and shape, vital information for the hunt. Keeping tabs on the bergs means tracking the currents, and for that job, the Ice Patrol tosses out a drop sonde. Where the hurricane hunter's drop sonde reports on air conditions, these marine instruments monitor water temperature and depth.
Drop ready. Drop away. Close the doors.
Each year, one flight in mid-April is special for the patrol. Today, the plane is bound for a hallowed spot, the site where the Titanic met her match. Sailing through icy waters is no less hazardous today than it was back in 1912. The danger starts right off the dock. Captain Bruce Jenkins and crew run a 35-foot fishing smack out of Twillingate, Newfoundland. Picking their way through the ice before dawn is a risky business. Even a small growler could send their ship to the bottom.
Early spring is the worst time. It's pretty massive coverage of ice, and that makes it really hard getting around. Searchlight and radar, that's the tool we use night time to navigate in ice. It's pretty nerve-wracking on times. The worst we find now is the washed out ice that we call growlers, and that they're pretty dangerous because they're 3 parts submerged and you got a job to pick them up.
Neither fishing boat nor freighter sail these waters without backup. Whenever sea ice threatens the shipping lanes, icebreakers like the Canadian Coast Guard's Henry Larson pick up the fight.
Starboard 20, come 330.
330.
330 is 5.
The Henry Larson is a floating bulldozer. 13,000 tons propelled by 17,000 horsepower give the breaker the ability to crash through ice 30 feet thick. To broaden her scope, the Larson even carries her own air force.
Okay, good morning, Gary. Just to make sure, are you ready to copy the ice message, over?
The bird's eye view from the Coast Guard chopper fills in the missing pieces of the icy puzzle.
For your information, up Cape Field, the main ice.
The icebreaker's flying lookout also comes in handy on search and rescue missions. A desperate SOS sends the Larson hours out of her way.
9-10 plus of ice.
At the edge of the ice pack, a fishing boat drifts, its rudder crippled by ice. Unable to navigate, she's a sitting duck for growlers and runs the risk of getting crushed by pack ice. With daylight fading, it's a race against time. The crew of the Larsen rush to throw the boat alight. Safe in tow, the fishing boat bobs in the breaker's wake, while the mothership knifes through the ice, heading for home. 500 miles to the east, the International Ice Patrol approaches its own solemn rendezvous. At a nameless spot above the featureless sea, the crew prepare to perform a simple ceremony. Latitude 41 degrees north, longitude 50 degrees west. The very waters where the Titanic met her fate.
On the aircraft, it is with great respect and reverence that the United States Coast Guard and the Titanic Historical Society commemorate the 85th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. Today, April 11th, 1997, we cast these wreaths into the ocean where the Titanic struck an iceberg and sank for the loss of more than 1,500 lives.
Since the birth of the patrol in 1914, not a single ship has been lost to the bergs on their watch. Still, so long as ships sail through Arctic waters, eternal vigilance remains the only defense against these floating mountains of ice. But the frozen dangers of the poles pale in the glare of Earth's mountains of fire. Fires of hell here on Earth. Volcano. The very name comes from the Roman god Vulcan, the forger of heaven's thunderbolts. They have been worshipped by mankind throughout history. Kilauea in Hawaii was said to be the home of Pele, the goddess of fire. The mountain Mexicans call El Popo was sacred to the ancient Aztecs. Despite volcanoes' devastating power, men have built their homes in the mountain's shadows around the world, from Japan to the Yucatan, from Iceland to Italy. Volcano in Europe rises out of densely populated eastern Sicily. Mankind has studied Etna's eruptions for centuries. Etna has spewed fire and destruction throughout recorded history. Her most devastating attack was in 1669, a searing tide of lava that buried the city of Catania and a dozen other towns on its unstoppable march to the sea. 20,000 people died. Today, the volcano still looms over Catania, Sicily's second largest city. Another cataclysmic eruption is not a matter of what if, but when. Despite the ever-present threat, over 250,000 Sicilians live, work, and play in the heart of the danger zone.
It's a frightful thing. It can erupt at any moment.
The
people who live around the volcano say, Lord, protect our homes, protect us from Etna's fire.
For those who live under constant threat from the fires of the underworld, turning to heaven for help is perfectly natural. History has only reinforced their faith in miraculous intervention. In the terrible eruption of 1669, a chapel in the village of Nicolosi was buried beneath 20 feet of molten rock. But down these steps, a miracle occurred. The lava had engulfed the town's treasured statue of the Madonna. Nearly 40 years later, a local nun was seized by a vision of the Madonna untouched by the burning tide. Inspired by her faith, the townspeople chipped away at the rock until they found a natural chamber. There, just as the nun had foretold, stood the painted marble statue, undamaged by the searing volcanic assault. Ever since, the Madonna has watched over Nicolosi from a new chapel on the mountainside. But faith is not mankind's only defense against volcanoes. Today, science leads the fight. Among the experts at the Italian Institute of Volcanology in Catania is geologist Mauro Cotelli.
When I leave for Etna, I feel a little excitement. For me, it's pretty much a habit to go, but of course, there could be something new, something exciting, something I've never seen.
Mauro's daily commute takes him 3,000 meters up and past lava flows ancient and new, souvenirs of Etna's awesome power. It's a sobering trip, even for this volcano lover.
Volcanoes are not a bad thing. They're an expression of the Earth's vitality. It's the living Earth, the Earth that pulsates. They do its work. The important thing is to get close, with caution.
But as Pippo Scrivano discovered, when the lava flows, it's easy to wind up too close.
Where we are was my house, but in 1981, the lava carried it away. In the evening, I was out. When I returned, I found the state police. We greeted each other, and then I said, "Goodbye." "Don't go anywhere," he said. "There's nothing left there." The keys are a souvenir. These are the keys to the gate and to the house. Every once in a while I look at them and I remember I had a house.
Preventing death and devastation is every volcanologist's ultimate goal. But the force that drives them to the crater's rim is an obsession with the unknown.
As a volcanologist, my job is to help understand how volcanoes work. It's not possible to predict when an explosion is going to happen. It's only possible to try to understand how it works, so we can tell if we are close to a great eruption or not.
Despite all the tools of modern science, volcanologists like Mauro Cotelli can only imagine the inferno that lurks beneath the cauldron of Etna. At the end of a dormant lava tube, deep beneath the base of the mountain, lies a lake of seething magma. When the boiling reservoir overheats and the pressure becomes too great, the magma surges. A fiery tide blasts through lava tubes and shattered rock until the eruption explodes to the surface. Professionals like Mauro know the danger, but Etna draws observers from all over the world. Many have little idea of the risks they face. In 1991, Mauro watched in horror as a group of Czech schoolboys lingered just below the volcano's mouth, transfixed by a hail of lava bombs, searing projectiles, some the size of a small car.
They were crazy. They didn't understand a thing. And they continued watching the show as though they were at the movies. But between the movie theater and a real volcano, there's quite a difference.
There's no guarantee of safety on a volcano. But for curious tourists, the best insurance is a guide who knows the mountain intimately. Orazio Consoli has been climbing Etna since he was 7.
One falls in love with Etna the way one falls in love with a woman, really. This has been my greatest passion.
Years on the mountain have taught Orazio many of her secrets. Still, Etna is by nature a violent and unforgiving host.
Yes, you're afraid sometimes, especially when you are up with a group of people. It's an active volcano. You never know what it can do. Because a stronger explosion can hit someone. It happened in 1979, an explosion from the central crater. There were 9 dead, 23 seriously wounded. That was the most painful thing that I have experienced on Etna.
In December of 1991, the volcano unleashed an eruption that would last 6 months. Dead in the path of the lava stood the town of Zaffarana. Every effort was made to stem the deadly flow. Emergency crews dug a huge pit and built an earthen dam nearly 70 feet high to hold back the superheated molten rock. But by mid-April, Etna had overwhelmed these defenses. The Italian army and the U.S. Marines took the battle to the air. They bombarded the lava ducts with concrete blocks and high explosives. The unprecedented attack did divert one arm of the flow. But still, the river of fire crept ever closer to town, forcing the people of Zaffarana to turn to a higher protector. Once again, faith seemed to work wonders in the face of the hellish assault. At one house, the lava stopped only inches from the ancient stone walls.
It happened here. The lava was coming down. So we took the Madonna, we carried her to where that cherry tree is, and that's where the lava stopped.
Since then, each spring the people of Zaffarana celebrate their town's miraculous deliverance from a molten tomb. To others, the real miracle was the human effort that slowed and redirected the lava in the weeks and months before.
It was science. It was technology that saved Zaffarana.
But neither faith nor science can rescue those in the path of a major cataclysm. Just 300 miles to the north of Etna lie the ruins of Pompeii, an entire city buried without warning by the explosion of Mount Vesuvius in the year 79 AD. In 1815, the eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia left over 90,000 people dead. Endless clouds of ash blocked out sunlight around the globe, leading to a year without summer. More recently, the unexpected violence of Mount St. Helens spread destruction on a scale unseen in North America for centuries. And in the Caribbean, the tropical paradise of Montserrat has been made a living hell by the gases and ash spewed out by the Soufriere Hills. What will be the ultimate fate for Mount Etna's neighbors? For Mauro Coltelli, the nearby island of Stromboli holds many clues. A jewel in the Mediterranean, once Stromboli was home to nearly 3,000. Today, only a few hundred remain. For the island is also home to another of Italy's active volcanoes.
We worry about the people of Stromboli. We worry a lot.
Over the years, lava flows have blanketed hundreds of acres where once stood homes and farms. Mauro has scaled the peak to check on a remote television camera that watches the crater day and night. The camera's armor allows it to record images no human being could witness and live. Back on Mount Etna, instruments wired to the Volcano Observatory help scientists record a picture of volcanic activity the naked eye could never capture. The lab stands on the site of the last observatory, which was engulfed by lava in 1979. Both scientist and mountain guide depend on the observatory and the window it opens to the forces at work deep inside the mountain. 60 feet from the surface, a super-sensitive laser monitors even the slightest shift inside the volcano. Just one part of a web of sensors designed to alert observers when an eruption is on the way.
I think that Etna will erupt again in a very, very damaging way. But compared to even a few years ago, we are in a position to understand much better when we are getting closer to a destructive phenomenon. And so we will be able to warn the authorities, help them minimize the damage.
Despite all that science has learned about these volcanoes, many of those living next to the mountain still rely first on faith for salvation from the fires of Etna.
I think that in the future it will always be like this. We can't lose faith from one day to the next, because faith is what holds us, what sustains us.
There are always those who have faith in miracles. The miracle is there. You just have to have faith.
The subterranean forces that give birth to volcanoes don't stop at the water's edge. When the Earth explodes beneath the ocean, it spawns a terrifying phenomenon that can race across hundreds of miles in just minutes. A mountain not of fire, but of water. Tsunami. On November the 29th, 1975, one such killer wave visited the island of Hawaii.
Well, there was 2 earthquakes, and the first earthquake early that morning woke us up.
17-year-old Mike Stearns and his fellow Boy Scouts were camping near the beach of Halape.
We just gotten back into our bedding and trying to get back to sleep when the real big earthquake came that created the tsunami. And it was a moonless night, and so we were over there trying to untie our shoes that were tied up from the rafters. That's when somebody said, "Look," and because we were facing away from the ocean, and we saw the water, white water, just come right up to the shelter. We didn't know no tsunami was coming.
Within seconds, the ocean surged up 40 feet. Mike and his friends were swallowed by the wave.
It just felt like a wall just hitting me. I must have became unconscious. The only thing going through my mind was, I want to die fast, I want to die fast. I thought this was it.
Life or death was a question of fate.
So I just started calling for my friends. I didn't know who survived.
When the waters receded, 2 people were dead. One, a leader of Mike's scout troop. The survivors were left with a painful understanding of the unfamiliar word, tsunami. Barely a generation later, most beachgoers have little idea what tsunami means, or the danger they face from the killer waves.
Tsunami? Tsunami is a fish that's found here on the Hawaiian Islands, mainly on the Kona coast.
Tsunami? That sounds Japanese. A Japanese food.
A female whale.
Michael, very good.
Tsunami is a wave that's generated by an impulse, like an earthquake or an exploding volcano or an underwater landslide. And it can travel across entire ocean basins and then wash up as waves scores of feet high on coastlines around the world.
For Dr. Walter Dudley, tsunami is much more than a strange Japanese word. He's made the study of ocean waters his life's work.
These waves we see moving across the water here are waves that are generated by the wind, but they're really only on the surface. Tsunami waves are different than the waves that move across the surface that are created by the wind because they're caused by an impulse in the ocean.
An underwater earthquake can move mountains of water in mere seconds. The convulsion sends a shock wave surging across the ocean. As the impulse races toward land, the water is forced upward by the rising seafloor. At landfall, the tsunami can tower above buildings and trees. On April 1st, 1946, people of the Hawaiian port of Hilo refused to believe they were in the path of just such a monster wave.
In 1946, people took it as an April Fool's joke. In those days, downtown Hilo was filled with businesses and homes that were right along the waterfront. And as the waves struck that area, they demolished the buildings, the homes, the businesses, and there was a tremendous loss of life. And as a result of lack of warning, 159 people died in the Hawaiian Islands, 96 in Hilo alone.
The terrible toll convinced survivors and the U.S. government of the need for a killer wave alarm system. And so the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center was born. Here, data from seismic watch posts across the ocean is monitored around the clock. At the first sign of the upheaval that breeds the giant waves, the Warning Center issues an urgent alert. With an enemy that can attack at 600 miles an hour, every second counts. Tsunamis can hit almost any coastline. They've even struck in the Mediterranean. But the Pacific is their chief spawning ground. The ocean is circled by active volcanoes and shifting fault lines. Sitting at the western edge of this danger zone, the islands of Japan are a prime target for earthquakes and tsunamis. A small tremor on a night in 1896 seemed to be no cause for alarm. People on the Sanrico coast went back to bed with no idea what was coming next. The Sanrico tsunami is remembered as one of the most lethal waves in history. Tens of thousands were swept to their death by the wall of water. In this century, tsunamis have pummeled the Japanese coasts time and again. In 1983, this group of students was trapped in their school bus by a quake-driven wave.
There was cracking ground, exploding water pipes, and many poles like telephone poles were falling down.
I remember most that the bus driver was driving frantically to avoid the tsunami, trying to avoid the cracks in the ground. But at the same time, the tsunami kept coming.
With the earth heaving beneath them, they raced for safety. These chilling snapshots capture the terror of the water's advance.
For a moment, I was sure that we might die. The feeling was this is the end. The ground was just not normal. We wanted to escape as soon as we could, and that was all we could think about.
While the students made it to safety, 100 other people were not so lucky. Forced to live with tsunamis and earthquakes, the Japanese have long recognized that education is one of the few real means of defense. At the Shizuoka Earthquake Preparedness Center, students learn through observation and experience. The center features the largest tsunami simulation tank in Japan. But models and games are not the only answers for the Japanese. They have also built walls. Nearly 2,000 miles of concrete, stone, and steel have turned some of the most vulnerable Japanese coastline into a fortress against the sea. But when the truly great waves come, there is no defense.
Tsunamis can be created by exploding volcanoes, underwater landslides, and earthquakes. But there's one very special way of creating a tsunami, and that is if an object from outer space, an asteroid or a large meteorite, crashes into the Earth. And chances are, of course, it'll crash into the ocean. And that would create an enormous tsunami.
Space. What we think of as endless and empty is in fact a very crowded and dangerous place. There is no doubt our home, our planet, is a target. Asteroids and comets have bombarded Earth since the dawn of time. The evidence is impossible to overlook. This mile-wide crater in Arizona is the explosive scar left by a chunk of rock from outer space. Its impact, some 50,000 years ago, must have killed every trace of life for hundreds of miles. Small meteors graze our planet with alarming frequency. In 1992, this fireball streaked over New York and Pennsylvania. With concern over the threat rising, NASA has tracked every hit over the last decade. There have been 250, one every 2 weeks. In 1993, astronomers discovered a string of comets on a crash course for Jupiter. Stargazers around the world watched transfixed as this astronomical freight train slammed into the giant planet at 140,000 miles an hour. The largest impact threw up a giant fireball and a black cloud bigger than the Earth. Had it hit the Earth, the explosion would have released more energy than every atomic bomb ever made. In 1989, an asteroid a quarter-mile across missed our planet by barely 6 hours. Next time, we might not be so lucky. In the wake of a killer asteroid, Earth would be enveloped by hurricanes of dust and fire, immeasurable tsunamis, endless earthquakes and eruptions, ending ultimately in a new ice age. With plenty of advance warning and a little luck, humanity will survive. And so, around the world, men and women watch and wait and devote their lives to tracking the killers.